Hi everyone, and welcome back to Project No Buy. Today's video is going to be more talks about fashion and my new resolutions and new goals in my wardrobe. So, in my recent efforts to kind of pare down my wardrobe or analyze my wardrobe or get to the bottom of my own personal style or figure out how to convey it, I guess, more convincingly, or, any of these kinds of wardrobe explorations, noticing how I use my clothes, I did some Googling and read some articles, and I kind of wanted to share my recent thoughts on these concepts with you here. So the first article was talking about, I guess, to get back to the Googling, the subject I was looking up was how many clothes we should have, because this has been a constant point of kind of friction for me in that I feel like I want to have less, and this is different from thinking I should have less, right? I've kind of made peace with the fact that there's no should. You shouldn't have this or that. There's no way to tell you, like, you should have this amount of stuff, right? But I still have this sense that I feel like I want to have a more streamlined wardrobe. And I was looking for guidance or kind of frameworks or what other people have done and wrote about and, reading articles on ways to achieve the right number of clothing for you and your life. And so I came across this article that I will link for you in the comments. It used some great frameworks for various aspects of why we have clothes, and it kind of shed some light, I guess, on the kind of wardrobe that I might want to have and maintain. So I'll get right into that without waffling on too much more. I think the author of this article had 4 or 5 categories, and I guess the blog is called The Elegance Edit, so, take that as you will. I haven't read anything else by this creator, but this is her formula to calculate how many clothes you need. So she created the wardrobe quotient to help you pinpoint the ideal range of clothing for your unique life. So the 5 key factors, okay, there's 5 categories. Number 1 was lifestyle. So you assign a score from 1 to 4 based on how diverse your lifestyle is. So to score yourself, how many versions of you do you need to dress each week? So if you have the score of a 1, you're a uniformist, your daily life is very consistent. Score 2, you have 2 kind of modes, maybe work and life, work life, weekend life. Score 3 is the multi-hyphenate, so more distinct kinds of clothing, professional attire, weekend wear, maybe hobby wear. Score 4, the chameleon, your schedule is highly varied. And I think just by the nature of my job, I have to give myself a 4 there, because in my job itself, there are multiple different dress codes. And I know concert black clothes don't make a part of my regular wardrobe, but they do fill space in my actual wardrobe. And so to kind of ignore this as a category is, I think, misguided for me. So that has to be one of my categories of a huge chunk of my clothes that I own. And then non-concert black performance clothes are still clothes that I don't usually wear in everyday life. And so that's 2 categories right away of clothing that I need to own and maintain. And then I have work life, which is where I dress a little more intentionally. I have home life, which, honestly, there's also multiple categories of home life where it's like, am I leaving the house home life or am I doing errands home life? And so it's almost as if I have 5 categories right there. And then I do work out at least once a week now with physical therapy appointments. So again, 6 categories. And that might be it, but I have to give myself the highest score in this category. The next category, number 2, is climate. So again, it depends on your seasons, where you live. If you have somewhere with a steady climate, that's a score of 1. And then a score of 4 is somewhere with 4 seasons. And I live in the heart of the Midwest of the United States, where we definitely have all 4 seasons. In winter, it snows. In summer, it's really hot. So again, an easy score of 4 there. The third category is laundry. So how much you want to do laundry, the easier you want your laundry situation to be, the lower your score. So a score of 1 means laundry is effortless and frequent. A score of 4 means laundry is a significant, infrequent chore. And honestly, I think my score is a 4, but I don't enjoy that. So I would love to move this score down a little bit and do laundry a little more and have it be a little more manageable. So I want to strive to have a 2 or a 3 here. So we'll see if that kind of messes up my final results. The 4th metric here is style preferences. So considering your personal style and how much variety you like. So again, score 1 is a uniform devotee. So you have kind of a minimalist style or something that you like to wear on repeat, more or less. Score 2, the timeless classic. So you have a few different outfit formulas, but you don't feel the need to chase every new trend. Score 3, the creative experimenter. You enjoy fashion and like to experiment with different styles. Having a good amount of variety is important. Score 4, the style chameleon. You are a true fashion enthusiast. So this might be the person who likes to engage with trends. So I don't think I'm currently a 4. I might be a 3 still, though. And I don't know. This is a category that I feel myself wanting to move more towards a 1 in. However, my reality is still definitely more of a 3. And so this is maybe, this and the laundry are maybe the wiggle room categories where I have the ability to tweak the outcome a little bit. And that kind of, I guess, discrepancy can indicate how much variation I might have in terms of the ideal amount of clothes to keep. The 5th category is sustainability. So think about your commitment to eco-friendly clothing practices. On a scale of 1 to 4, how important is sustainability to you? So a score of 1, just starting out, you're interested in it but haven't made it a primary focus. Score 2, the mindful shopper, you're actively trying to make better choices. Score 3, the conscious curator, sustainability is a key factor. And score 4, the sustainable advocate. This is a core value. Your wardrobe is almost exclusively composed of ethical, sustainable, or secondhand brands. So your wardrobe quotient there depends on your score of those 5 categories. So if your score, and again, I might be doing this wrong here because a score of greater than 20 I didn't think was possible if there were 5 categories and 4 was the highest score. But, maybe we're extrapolating a little bit here. And I also question a little bit how the sustainability score goes up higher if you want to be more sustainable. And I kind of almost feel like it should be the other way around. But again, this is just a starting point for some thoughts that happened for me after reading this article. Because my score is definitely not minimalist. And I guess in reality, I do feel like my score puts me in the extensive category of considerable closet flexibility of 70 to 100 pieces. And 70 to 100 pieces is still less than what I currently do own, of about 170, I think, is what I last counted or last shared in my wardrobe closet app. And again, I know there's no one size fits all. I know even these numerical kind of stats here are optional or like very tailored for specific lifestyles and specific kind of, I guess ultimately, for me in my situation, this is clothing, for the most part, that I've already purchased and already own. And so that's maybe a factor as well. Like if I was still consuming clothing at the rate that I used to 2 years ago, then I think it might be more imperative for me to target these numbers and get things down. But in terms of already having all of the stuff that I have, I'm not necessarily in a hurry to get down, get these numbers down. What this made me think about, though, was that maybe a minimalist wardrobe is not actually for me, and maybe that's okay. It's kind of like in the video last month at the end of the month where I talked about how I've wanted to be a minimalist for a long time, but I've kind of made peace with the idea that I'm not actually a minimalist, and I don't have to be to observe some of the minimalist principles. And I think probably some of this is going to be the same in my wardrobe. While I have this desire to have a more streamlined collection, my reality is that for some valid reasons, like the seasonality and the variety of my life, there are incidents where I need to own more clothes than the average person, or than somebody with lower scores on especially the lifestyle and the climate factors. And I maybe knew these things, but I didn't necessarily have the framework to conceptualize them in the same way until I read this article, where not only does it kind of break down, like the lifestyle factors, we know we get dressed for the activities that we do on a day-to-day basis, but in terms of actually kind of thinking through what I do on a day-to-day basis and realizing that I do actually have quite a diverse closet set of needs, it kind of does justify an extent of having a large wardrobe or a larger than somebody who doesn't have a series of black clothing for performances would have, or a series of kind of more formal outfits that don't get worn too often, but they do get worn every year, right? Like it's not as if I have a dress for fancy occasions that gets worn every 5 years. It's something that gets worn every year or two and cycled through for various performance situations. So those are 2 categories right away that kind of expand my wardrobe beyond the range of normal, and that I don't have full control over as far as not wanting to have limitations on those options. And you know, there are aspects of still wanting to streamline those categories in themselves, but I can't just take out one of those categories completely, for example. And I had never really thought about this in this way before, and it's helping me again make peace with owning and using what I have, which I think in turn is going to make it easier for me to feel content and not be pursuing the next best thing. Because sometimes the trap that I've fallen into is that I have bought things to let go of things. And this isn't just in instances where something's not quite right. So for example, the shoes that I outgrew and I replaced, that is one example of buying something to let go of something. But there are also other instances where I might have 2 pairs of black concert pants, and I think if I buy this 1 pair, I'll be able to let go of these 2 pairs, which sometimes does happen. Other times I get that pair and I still want to keep one of the other 2 pairs that I feel like I was going to let go of. And it doesn't always pan out in terms of letting go of things when something else gets brought in. And it keeps me in that cycle of consuming, looking and buying the next option to try. And that is something that I want to get out of. It is a category, like I said in that video talking about wanting to be minimalist. I want to make my wardrobe a more dormant category where the active cycle of looking and buying and constantly evaluating, even to some extent letting go of things, is kind of calmed down. And again, if I wanted to continue going down the wardrobe curation path, I could maybe categorize all of my lifestyle needs and create capsules, you know, the concert black capsule, the formal wear capsule, the work capsule, the home capsule, the errands capsule, the workout wear capsule. But again, I just don't think it's helpful for me to fixate on my wardrobe in that level of detail. I think what I've started to do now in terms of turning all my hangers backwards just to observe how long it takes me to get through everything is enough of a start to start having feelings and revelations and maybe reckon with the clothing that is clearly my least favorite based on the fact that I choose it last. And we're in November now and I still have clothing that's turned backwards. It's still taken me a long time, even though my hanging clothes actually, to me now, compared to what it has been, it doesn't feel like that vast of a collection. I can see everything. It all kind of looks curated, and I mean, maybe not minimalist by any stretch, but if you take out my concert black, I do kind of feel like it's a reasonable amount of hanging clothes to have. But it still takes me so long to get through them, mainly because I can wear t-shirts and tank tops and sweaters, and these aren't part of the hanging inventory. But it is kind of a wake-up call as far as even with less clothes, it can still take a long time to wear them all. Along with finding this article, I also found The Rule of 5 by Tiffany Dark. I found her Substack, and I had heard of this already, right? I talked at the beginning of this year, I think, about how I was going to try to limit my clothing purchases to 5 with a good, better, best goal of best being 5, better being 10, and good being 15 pieces. And I think I already blew through that in the first part of the year. I think I've already done those recaps, so I'm not going to unpack all of that here. So I'd already heard of the Rule of 5 for clothing, for our wardrobe, for the maintaining of the climate target of limiting warming to 1.5 degrees by 2030, I think it is. Again, I'll link this article in the description below where she lists these reasons for doing the Rule of 5. And that's obviously a very compelling reason where we all need to decrease or manage our clothing consumption to no more than 5 new items per year in order to collectively meet this target. And so it does make it more of a moral obligation, a collective kind of effort, because we all have to play our part in this. And obviously if we can keep it under 5, that then can compensate a little bit for people who are not going to be able to keep their clothing consumption under 5 new pieces. But anyway, I have renewed interest and motivation in this goal of the Rule of 5, and I will probably be trying it for next year. And again, I will undoubtedly be making videos on that as well in the future, laying out this challenge, so I won't go too far into it here. But again, in this kind of rabbit hole I found myself in, I read the other articles in her Substack, and there was a quote that kind of summarized what I feel like has been my experience with my wardrobe and my personal style thus far in Project No Buy Conscious Consumerism in this journey. And the quote is as follows: authenticity isn't always easy. We are constantly assailed by alluring images of other people's style. Every day, we are bombarded by imagery that captures the clothes of celebrities, acquaintances, and influencers alike. This pulls us away from our authentic stylish selves, from who we really are and what we really want to wear. So again, when I read that, I thought, yes, this is exactly what happened to me. I was tossed left and right by the whims of influencers and my own worship of them and willingness to try out whatever I thought looked amazing on other people, whatever was the next hottest style, whatever I thought could make me look and feel more cool, more hip, more young, more put together, whatever it is. And look for whatever version of what I was seeing that would work the best for me. And so through that, that seeking of the best version for me, I was able to kind of fool myself into thinking I was still being conscious about my choices. And sometimes it worked. I did look good sometimes. I did feel cool sometimes. But a lot of what looked good was still not really me. And sometimes I was following that advice of how to dress the most flattering for my shape or my coloring or whatever. And I took a long time to discover that that's not actually my primary motivation in getting dressed. Looking good is not the reason that I like to experiment with outfits. Not that I think there's anything wrong with wanting to look good or looking good, but I think I fooled myself into thinking that that was something I should care about more than I actually did. And there'll be different days where I have different feelings about that. There'll be days where I do want to try to look good or flattered or feel good in my clothes in terms of feel like I look good to other people. But most of the time these days, that's maybe last on my priority list. And I'm much more interested in looking interesting and also being radically comfortable while doing so. So anyway, all these 3 articles will be linked in the description below, so you can check them out firsthand if you want to, and see what thoughts they bring up for you and your current use of your wardrobe. Now finally, we're going to move into a segment called The Shorts That I Wanted to Buy But Didn't and Am Not Going to Buy, and go through how the task at hand was to appreciate what I have more than what I wanted. Basically, my existing shorts over the shorts that I envision myself adding to my closet. So I own 2 pairs of shorts. Technically, I own more, but there are 2 pairs of shorts that are in my current wardrobe app because they are the ones that are comfortable and not currently in purgatory for being either too tight or having some other kind of issue. I also didn't wear these shorts a whole lot this past summer. Even only having 2 pairs, they weren't necessarily getting regular hard-wearing use. And so it didn't actually feel like I was deprived of enough pairs of shorts to have comfort and variety. And this kind of desire for new shorts was really just sparked by, nothing really, but I guess there was a fleeting desire that I had to replace some of the shorts. Again, the pair that was too tight that I put in the kind of declutter purgatory fabric bin this summer, I had the whim, I guess. Maybe it was just the urge to shop or the urge to buy something. But I looked at the website where I originally purchased them and was considering adding them, in a larger size so that I would have them again. And I also saw the pair that matched the other version of that shirt. So I have a blue version and a pink version, and I saw that they now make a pink version of those shorts. And so here I was on the website looking at these 2 pairs of shorts, not 1, but 2 now, and thinking about how adorable it would be with the matching sets, the shorts and the shirts. Again, bearing in mind that I already own one of these pairs of shorts, and if I really, really wanted to, I could still wear them even if they're a bit tight. I do already have pants as well that are in a larger size. And so it's not that I don't have anything matching to go with this shirt. It's just that the urge, I really do think it might have been the urge to just shop and buy something. Because now I can look back and see kind of how ludicrous it is and how I'm so glad that I did not actually buy these things. Even if it could have been a good buy for my wardrobe or for the replacement on the basis of size and comfort is not something that I would always argue with. But in this instance, it was something that I didn't actually need, and I can see that very clearly now. In addition to the 2 pairs of shorts that I do have, I also have several mini skirts, several longer skirts, several dresses, which is why these 2 pairs of shorts didn't really get enough wear over the past summer to feel like I didn't have any shorts. So there's that context. So anyway, as I was in the throes of desire, I guess, for these shorts that I didn't buy, I was picturing, I was making myself go through the steps, go through the exercises of using the shorts that I have in the outfits that I envisioned the shorts that I would buy with, with the matching shirts, with other tops, maybe. Realistically, the main reason I wanted these shorts was because I had the matching shirts. And the blue striped pair, I have the blue striped pants in. So I already have a matching option for the 2 blue striped shirts. So again, the argument of, oh, I need the matching set is defunct in that case. The pink shorts, again, when I imagine the pink shirt with my jean shorts or my black shorts, it actually makes better outfits than the pink on pink would for me. And I have a pretty strong inclination of this because I had the rainbow striped version of the shirt as well, which I've currently decided to list for resale because I don't like the shorts and shirt combo because it's kind of too tonally light. I prefer the higher contrast of the shirt with denim or black shorts. And so knowing this cognitively provides a good insulation for actually making that purchase, again, of the matching set. Matching sets are not always what I like to wear, even if I do like them in concept. And then just going on a quantity basis, since I have 3 shirts that match the shorts I wanted to buy, right? The blue striped, I have 2 shirts, and then a pink striped shirt. If I just take the shorts that I have, those 2 pairs of shorts and the 3 tops, that's already 6 different outfits I can make with what I already own. Summer appropriate outfits with the tops and shorts. If I add the blue striped pants, which I probably wouldn't wear with the pink shirt, although you never know, I have, again, 2 more outfits that have the fully matching component. So 8 outfits already, and then even if we just take 8 outfits for the duration of a month over summer, that's only repeating the outfits 3 or 4 times each. And that's not counting the fact that I have a drawer full of t-shirts and tank tops and other options than shorts to wear. I guess the other piece of this puzzle is that the shorts themselves are $70 shorts. And yes, there are cheaper versions out there, or you can get them secondhand if you wait or find the right size, etc. It's not necessarily about the money, but it is a lot of money that I don't need to be spending. And maybe that made it easier to say no or, justify the non-purchase of them. But I do think that it was mostly doing those exercises in terms of trying to see how I can use what I already have. And I do think this process is something that I didn't do as much as I should have with the shoes that I purchased. Again, not that I regret any of the shoe purchases, and I do think that I will continue to rotate through them all. I do think that I could have done this exercise, and had I done so, I may have chosen to buy 1 or 2 fewer pairs. And I guess this is my commitment to continue to do this exercise for every purchase desire that comes up, even if it just takes the time of journaling about it, or, again, I do think putting the brakes on when you encounter that desire and having something to do instead is maybe the key piece that's going to help me in this instance, because the wish list and wait strategy has been something I've been aware of this whole time. But wish lists did have a time where they felt like to-do lists for me, where it would kind of make me fixate on that item even more and make me think about why I should buy it and take it off the wish list through that purchase. Luckily, I've reframed that to use it as a holding cell rather than a must-do list. And I think having this action item of trying to contextualize what I already have and, again, maybe really lay out for myself how adding something else will decrease my use of those things I already have, and actually how adding something new doesn't actually expand my world like it feels like it will in the moment of wanting it. I think having these extra strategies for that period of wish list and waiting, and spoiler alert, these shorts didn't even make the wish list because after doing these exercises with my conceptual wardrobe, I didn't even want them anymore, let alone, saving the money was another motivation on my list. So these things are conspiring to make not buying things even easier and more of a systematic process, which for me might have been the piece that was missing, honestly. I do feel like this is going to help me be more successful if I do choose to embark on yet another no-buy year next year. I now have kind of a formula for what to do when you want something. And I hope I'll be able to put this in maybe more of a easy to digest kind of framework so that I can share it with you, maybe in a dedicated video, in terms of what to do when you want something, and the step-by-step process for helping yourself unwant that thing that you suddenly now want. And again, a lot of these tips do come from you in the comments below, so feel free to share anything from your own lives and own experiences. I would love to hear from you. Okay, with that, I will wrap this one up here today, and that is basically the updates on my wardrobe goals and desires and current status, and also the tale of something that I wanted to buy but didn't, and how I managed to avoid it. Alright, bye for now, and I will see you in the next one.